LG versus Noble. Hopefully this one's a little bit more balanced out than what we just saw. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to North American SPL. My name's Tom Banninger. I'm joined here by the illustrious Taco.
The illustrious.
There you go. You got a big one.
Just got to add on a big word to that one. But I do have to say, I think this will be a little bit more evenly paced than what we saw in that previous set. Just kind of unfortunate for a Mighty Storm having a sub fill in that's not even in his main role. It can get a little difficult at times. But Luminosity versus Noble is something that I've really been anticipating, mostly because of this big Aquarius debut. Yeah,
so Luminosity went alongside with Skeeledon, who I've been pretty harsh on the kid. But as we see him picked up by Space Station Gaming, and he did improve recently, things might have been looking up for Luminosity Gaming come this fall split, of course, with Worlds right in the right beyond them. But they opt to go for Aquarius, who, for my money, is one of the more strong up-and-comers here in the Pro League.
A little bit of the Uzi effect I can feel sort of coming into play here with this guy. And Aquarius is somebody who he's really been on the cusp, in my personal opinion, as far as being a peak solo laner in NA. And really, this is just a very interesting time for him, because this is the period where he really needs to display just how much he's improved.
He really fits in with the LG squad. Let's see how their picks and bans go as we get into game number 1, and we'll see how everything winds up working. LG here on the left side, they have their first pick, and as we sort of talked about Aquarius, he played down on some other teams. Let's get the LG fans inundated with him. He's going to play your meta stuff. You're not going to find any like crazy off-the-wall picks, but his team fight prowess is very strong, and that's why LG picked him up.
And all around, Aquarius is also just somebody who's very mechanically adept. He has a fairly strong god pool, I would say, as far as flexibility is concerned, which is always an important aspect to keep in mind for solo laners. And as far as the bans are concerned, not anything too out of the normal so far, seeing Scotty taken away.
Scotty's a very strong hunter. Not only does she bring the basic attacks and, of course, the abilities. She's more ability than basic attack. But that permafrost, not just the damage, it's the crowd control that it brings.
It really just makes you feel bad all around in every single way of life. It's just not a fun mechanic. You just don't want to have to play around that when you're just slipping and sliding, bouncing off of your own teammates, because God bless Hinduman for making that a realistic effect. And RDO is going to be the next ban taken away. And again, this is just another one of those high pressure supports, also flexed around in the solo lane as of late. Shout out to Maniac for that one. And Camazotz as well, which I think is a very interesting one, because there's a lot of different opportunities to be taken with the Camazotz jungle. It's one of those more high peak damage early on, so interesting that Luminosity would want to take that away from Noble.
Well, when you're looking at Camazotz, I don't think he's a first pick character, and Noble's jungler Skeeledon is one of their stronger players in my opinion, so giving him one of the opportunities to really step forward. Whalrus as well. Camazotz can find himself in the solo lane. Very strong there. The Raven we banned out by Noble for their 4th and overall ban. Moving on to the pick phase, Luminosity Gaming with the first selection. Any guesses?
Potentially a Terra coming through for Luminosity. It's a favorite pick for Jeff, and all around a pretty strong god in the duo lane, or even a solo lane flexibility. And it is going to be a Terra locked away. But this leaves open Chulainn, Sun Wukong, a couple of different warrior selections, as well as the Hell. And that's the fun one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised here. Whether it winds up in the hands of the mid, solo, or support, I think 3 different positions she's been playing at a high level. This doesn't necessarily really strike me as a Wubbn character. Wubbn tends to play more like the maybe, I don't know. But with the Raijin selection, that strikes out my thought about it being in the mid lane for Sheyka. So now, Noble, we've gone through a little bit of a movement transition here in the mid lane for Noble.
A lot of the, I mean, I don't want to call it roster apocalypse just yet, but they're having a couple of shift arounds. It won't be anybody that we were anticipating, considering that MLC is going to be sitting this one out. That's who used to be the mid laner for Noble, but some of you might have seen his recent announcement on Twitter that he made himself not too long ago. He'll be joining us here instead, so that'll be... I saw that face. Don't worry, we'll have a hi-rez top damage.
Yeah, MLC leaving Noble to join hi-rez here as a community manager for the Smite world, I believe, and so leaving him in the wake, there was an empty spot. Noble will be playing with Sheyka this week. We'll see what happens on in the future. But Raijin, again, going to be played. If you missed Europe yesterday, was played by Pretty Prime to great effect. Pretty Prime and his team Obey Alliance won both games in which he played Raijin. So Hell likely to find her way into the support role in the hands of Wubbn. LG pick up Chulainn and Ho Yi for their 2 damage dealers, and then Serqet, a nice shot from Noble here. If Chulainn doesn't wind up in the jungle, then Serqet is a very strong jungle selection against Hell, burst damage as well as anti-heal.
I'm almost anticipating an Odin ban here from Noble, just considering that they already had the Terra and Huyi. That's already 2 pretty big, massive AoE characters. So you want to just eliminate that aspect, especially when you're trying to run the Hell in what will most likely be the support role. I like the Raijin option here, just because aggro has been harping on this for a while now, that any god that can clear by level 2 is bound to be picked up at some point in competitive play. He started to make his way into some mid laners' hands, so really hoping that he makes a huge impact here.
Raijin's also mad safe. He has a teleport jump. Very few of these mages, we're talking Scylla, we're talking Agni. Raijin has a jump like that, not only just a dash, but can go over walls. His ultimate is long range. Normally, you're going to see the damage, but can be utilized as well as crowd control. Raijin had a little bit of a change. He wasn't very good, and then it was changed, and people just they kept ignoring him. But here he is back in the pro scene. Thor and Nox locked in. Nox also made an impact yesterday in the European scene, although in a different light. We saw her in the support role for Dardes in 2 games. Only won one of them, but definitely a strong pick. This time for LG with Terra locked in, likely to be in the hands of Baskin, the mid laner. Osiris and Cupid round out Noble.
This composition from Noble it's a little janky, but I think that it could probably work out really well. For anybody wondering, Cupid and Hell is anticipating that to be the dual lane role, and that is a very high clear aggro lane. Huyi Terra should be able to combat pretty nicely with it, but the Nox is really what strikes me, because that silence can be so critical when trying to prevent the Hell from spamming her cooldown. She has incredibly low cooldowns on her first and third ability, which can cause a lot of problems for teams. We've seen that happen plenty of times before in the past. So if Baskin is on par with his stuff, then this could be really difficult for Wubbn to maneuver around.
Asking if Baskin is on par with his stuff is kind of like asking if the grass is green. Baskin has really proven himself to be a strong mechanical player, full stop. Now, he started his career in the solo lane, transferred over to the mid lane, and we saw 3 mid laners in North America come out of their solo, or 3 solo laners transfer into the mid lane, and Baskin, one of them, and he did not miss a beat. JeffHindla doing something interesting here, blocking his own minions.
We saw this in console, actually, during their relegations, I believe, where a Terra support blocked off the entire creep wave, but Jeff, preventing only the archers, is still allowing the creeps to push through. It's just that those archers will be reaching a delayed spawn point, so they should have a better clear potential for Luminosity.
And that will, and how does that actually affect the lane? Because it seems like something so small, but we were talking yesterday about some of the smaller things and how that ripple effect really affects the game.
It could potentially mean that BaRRaCCuDDa has the opportunity to hit level 3 should they catch all of the creeps on the enemy's wave, and having 3 of the frontal creeps, because typically you lose those 3 creeps to your waves meeting, but without the archers there to deal the damage, and having the Huyi Terra, which strong clear already because of the Huyi's ricochets, he will potentially hit that 3rd one, which again just lets him hit level 3 before the enemy ADC. They should outclear the Hell and Cupid, which they already have. They've reached the lane, so it'll just be, time will tell by the 2nd wave whether Bear is going to hit level 3.
Well, here over on the right side, Aquarius is sort of showing his first stuff, level 2 on the Chulainn, and his ability to go ahead and transform. Very interesting. And they're going to be able to go ahead and just invade no problem. And again, we see that Hand of the Gods come out. This time it's on the side of Luminosity. Kiki had it last game, and it really worked out.
It's a very risky active to opt for right now, because sure, you get your guaranteed buff secure, or the, contrary, the buff invade, but then you lose that whole aspect of a team fighting relic early on, which is what we've seen from a lot of solo laners with the shells, the sprints, the horrific emblems, looking for those early rotations. So Aquarius is really just hoping to bank off of him and Mask approaching higher levels and just having that map control. Skeeledon trying to get a little bit of an invade going himself, but caught himself in a really awkward spot for Mask in the double tap. Mask
still looking so impressive, taunting his way through as Skeeledon unable to make the plays right there. Wubbn out of the jungle is going to get stunned out as BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla get a little excited. And Mask, he started the party, and he's not done just yet. BaRRaCCuDDa jumps on one. Wow, he gets hit by the double tap and the Zerkers. But that'll be that. Fantastic start for LG. Already up about 500 gold. Nice individual play by Mask on the right side. And then on the left, we get to see, some hot stuff out of the Sex Tank.
That's a dangerous ricochet position, and the tower lineup positions for the Hui on that order side is actually a little bit more flexible as far as launching those bounces are concerned. Wowy is going to have to be really careful with his positioning, otherwise Terra is more than likely going to take advantage of that situation.
So here's something that I want to talk about with respect to the Hand of the Gods. Now, when you upgrade it for 500 gold, so it won't be upgraded early on, you do get that 1 second stun. Is that useful, or does it just hurt your DR?
Don't believe that most people look for that early upgrade. Just
you're not going to see it early at all.
It's a 500 gold upgrade, and it can be useful in certain situations, especially for a Chulainn, who he doesn't necessarily go down very easily, but he also has a pretty hard time at times maintaining that chase down factor with gods. So aside from his ultimate that can cause that tremble effect, it could actually pan out really well for Aquarius should he opt for that route.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it and see if he ever actually does raise it up. I'm not sure if he will. Just something to think about here as that Hand of the Gods making its new resurgence into the SPL. Early on, Luminosity starting off with a nice little bit of a lead here as far as the gold is concerned. And Mask on the Thor. This is an interesting character. Thor goes both ways in the sense that he can be a defensive character or he can be a hard carry. When you give him a kill and an assist this early on, watch out.
I think the primary focus for selecting Thor here, considering that he hasn't been in a whole lot of favor amongst the pro scene lately, is he just has that easy stun setup, which combines incredibly well when you have a Nox on your team. This is just one of those old school standard combinations that the easier you can build up that synergy together, especially running it back into the first day of competitive play. I mean, these guys have all been really amped up and ready to go, so what better way to debut than with an easy setup?
I also think that in no world is Thor ever bad. There are probably some other picks there are probably picks in different metas where other characters might shine a little bit more. We've all seen, Wubbn getting caught by the stun. Not going to follow up, though. JeffHindla didn't get that memo. Roots out Sheyka. Wubbn just going to look for some damage, but here comes Mask one more time. Single tap, and the Serqet is good, and the Terra ultimate popped as well, but no real chase. Baskin shows his face, and this should really all just for the Oracles.
And the Oracles, unfortunately, did already split 50-50, so neither side getting to take advantage of that free vision. That's
a perfect example, though. I mean, at no point in any meta of Smite will a Thor coming down from the sky ever be bad. You might have your Reign of Terror with Aokwang or whatnot, but Thor's always a choice. Aquarius, nice knock up to avoid Skeely's Cobra's Kiss, and he'll be safe under his tower. Wonderful play.
Unlucky for Whalrus, just judged that one a little bit too short, and now they've got to keep an eye out for the counter rotation by LG. Mask hovering around, but the ward is going to save their lives potentially. I really do feel as though Whalrus would have probably kept aggressing there. He loves trying to take that Osiris as far as he can. And Wubbn, this is a situation you don't want to be in. And Mask, again, with the cleanup.
Sheyka tried to use the ultimate there. Really important point I want to bring up is Sheyka, don't forget, on this Raijin, does have the opportunity to fear or taunt players. So if he actually lands that whole setup could go awry. It's a big if, though. Not in this case. And down goes Wubbn, caught out in the jungle.
This is so rough for Skeeledon, though, because as Serqet, Nox is probably one of the best gods you could play against the Serqet because of that silence. You want to spam your kit, you want to get your taunt off into your one, pretty much stacking up that passive. That way, whenever you do launch an auto attack, you have as many ticks of your poison as possible for top damage.
Right.
Nox kind of just prevents you from doing all of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of control out of this mage. When I think control mage in Smite, I'm thinking Nox, I'm thinking Isis, and very few other selections. And so Nox certainly able to really lock you down a little bit, as well as bring a ton of damage. I mean, you look at what that big silence AoE puddle can do late game, you're losing half your HP like a Scylla Crush.
And it's already panning out incredibly well for Luminosity. They've maintained a steady 1K lead pretty early on, which isn't too much yet, but it's mostly the experience that I'm paying attention to. Wubbn is really starting to trail behind on Hell, and that's just the downside aspect. She's really vulnerable early on. She doesn't have a whole lot of health, and because of that, Luminosity are just just doing everything in their power to put the pressure on.
It's also an interesting thing to think about. Hell doesn't really play like other supports, obviously on the surface, but I think you also have to apply her to the map differently as well. When we've seen the Hells be successful in the support role, both Aurora, although it was an exhibition stuff, that's kind of where she debuted in the support role during the Energy Invitational, but we also saw her yesterday in the hands of European supports. Hell sticks with her Hunter and does that the whole game. Wubbn getting caught in the jungle, that's something that a Guardian gets away with. That Hell, maybe not.
Wubbn just has to provide assistance to at least one other member at all points. Otherwise, it's just incredibly easy for Luminosity to catch up to him, especially Mask having already a 2-0 lead. He's already started building into what could potentially be a Brawlers as opposed to the standard Jotun, simply because of the fact that they are against the healer composition.
And Mask is doing tons of damage. He realizes that getting more ultimates off is nice, but right now he's at an advantage, and he's just looking to murder everybody when he lands on them. The 40-20, 40 power, and the 20 penetration brought to you by the Brawler Speed Stick likely will wind up. Or actually, no, I mean, it still could be the Jotuns. We'll see.
If I'm Noble, I'm just not excited at all for whenever Baskin and Mask start combining their powers and doing the fusion dance into each other. That was a smart...
Why did they leave?
It was the ultimate from the Terra. They were expecting that wombo combo probably from Mask and Baskin to just come crashing down onto that Gold Fury pit.
What a bluff. What a bluff by JeffHindla. So he pops the Terra ultimate, and everybody hears that, and that peels Noble off of the map, off of the Gold Fury. There's no way Luminosity make it there in time to actually stop that Gold Fury.
They could potentially get there in time. There isn't enough burst damage quite yet for Noble, so it'd still be hard for them to lock it down. But with the Raijin ultimate, they'd invest so much into the Gold Fury that they would potentially wipe. And if that were to happen, then it would ultimately be a win for Luminosity.
There you go. It's the secondary engagement that I think would have been more scary. Skeeledon comes in, jumps on JeffHindla. There's the ultimate on a Wowy as well. Everybody looking at this Terra. But the suns come down. Jeff's at 40% HP, and Luminosity doesn't really mind here. Jeff's ultimate was down from that Gold Fury engagement, which is why we see Noble jump on him, but not going to land.
This is a win for Luminosity, though, because Skeeledon was forced out, forced to back. Their buffs are going to be spawning shortly. Lumi have to be aware of this. They're already kind of hovering around this side of the map, and sure enough, BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla is trying to scout everything out, but doesn't seem as though Sheyka or anybody wants to engage, but the same can't be said for Mask and Baskin as Baskin launches the long shot and finds Skeeledon in the back.
Number 4 for Luminosity. Love the confidence that Baskin has, just launching it. That's going to take out one. Now with the 4-on-5 power play, Luminosity looking for the Gold Fury. Or perhaps just a fight. 3 players rooted by JeffHindla. But unfortunately, the team a little bit out of range to take advantage. Whalrus here, now fighting one versus the world. Lands on top of Mask. That's a big boy kill. That's a very important kill. Mask has been one of the more strong players here. And when he dies, Luminosity know that they have to walk away. Aquarius half HP. If Whalrus doesn't kill Mask there, I think Luminosity take the fight in the Gold Fury.
I don't want to jinx it just yet, but the last time I saw Whalrus really get to rampage with an Osiris, he went ham and almost single-handedly carry a game. So with that in mind, Aquarius kind of just trailing behind. Not as much effect in that team fight. Ooh. Wowy, that is not the poke you want to take.
I mean, you know the ins and outs of playing the Hunter role. Do you ever want to take that pathing against the Ho-Yi?
You don't really have much option from time to time, and in that circumstance, Wowy really didn't have many other routes to go if he wanted to farm out that wave efficiently. But no, that's not a direction you ever want to go in. There's so many random ricochet points in there, but Skeeledon looking for it onto Baskin, now forced to the Purification Beast, but it won't make a difference.
Nice play. Must have sniffed out. The dash was clearly on cooldown. Skeeledon waits in the corner for it, just jumps over the wall. Very important play as well. Luminosity off to a very quick start, and we're talking a lot about them, specifically Mask going off on a tear. But between that kill in the mid lane and what Whalrus was able to do over there by the Gold Fury, these teams separated by less than 1,000 gold. That's what Noble wants to do. They need to just stay relevant here. Raijin in the late game, Hell in the late game. These are terrifying characters to play against.
But now that Baskin's able to pick up that Aegis with that force back to base, that might be a little bit more difficult for Skeeledon to keep making happen in the mid lane. Survivability is going to be so crucial for Baskin because One of the difficulties of running a Nox composition is if one member dies, your comp can slowly deteriorate, so they need to protect Baskin as much as possible. BaRRaCCuDDa is going to be able to do his own thing for the most part, and he's also got Jeff's ultimate to try and bail him out of a sticky situation.
Right.
The chase down factor, though, from Noble is really potent.
One more time, Noble going to start at the Gold Fury. No players have really been able to take this one just yet. Half HP on the objective. The dual lane and the Luminosity show their face, and Noble will go ahead and retreat off the objective. Wowy playing up very far.
Wowy has already rushed a healing item, which is going to help out his team a whole lot, because even if they get a little bit of poke from a random ricochet, that AoE heal ticks over time. Eventually, they'll be right back where they started from. So, Luminosity, if they don't all in, and that's the mentality behind the Nox, is to prevent them from backing off and healing back up.
So here we'll see BaRRaCCuDDa versus Wowy, the one-on-one. I always like this because Wowy is, people love to talk about how strong Wowy is despite his team's, lackluster performance as far as the win-loss record is concerned. And BaRRaCCuDDa versus a player like that when you're just isolating them in the lane, it's always fun to look at and fun to think about. Who do you think wins in an all-out one-on-one between those two players?
In an all-out one-on-one, for this matchup in particular, I would put my money on the Hui. Probably just because of the fact that he has the Sun's ultimate, and Cupid might have his cripple and AoE stun potentially off of the ult, but if you're trying to tank damage and deal it out underneath that Hui, it's just not going to work out for you.
Isn't it scary for the Hui to get caught with the cripple, though? Oh, Mask is going up with Baskin. Love this combination. Two players will land down. Big explosion damage out of the mid-mage as well. Double tap will be Aegis out, but the ricochet's on Wubbn. Target switch, and the support is now located. Big ultimate at a Wowy. Triple stun, and BaRRaCCuDDa gets hit by the life hit as well from the Cupid player. Not going to be enough. Love that counter engage by Noble. Wowy drops that Cupid ultimate and hits the heart bomb. Life stun, I think I called it. But either way, that big cripple stun field saves Noble.
But check out the health from Wowy and Wubbn as well. They're already back to full health. They want this Gold Fury. So much was just expended from Luminosity that this is going to be incredibly difficult for them to contest.
Mask ulti and Baskin ultimate down for the count is a very big reason why you see Noble sticking on this objective. JeffHindla looking to get lucky here and steal it with some of his damage, but the Raijin comes through! And the crowd control is strong enough. Noble take down the objective. Aquarius a little bit late to the party here. Skeeledon gets double tapped, but walks away. And with the Gold Fury, Noble take the lead by about 800 gold.
And that was a very strong recognition by
Smart
Noble.
play.
They knew that they had the advantage, and they immediately pressed it, and that is exactly what I want to be seeing from Noble after their previous split experience. You can tell that this team is really starting to take note of their mistakes and fold on working on them.
Yeah, this is that was a very smart play. When it comes down to that. As soon as they saw that Mask and Baskin's ultimate, the two ultimates that are really going to mess them up on that objective, and knowing they have Sheyka, again, you might be able to get two players in range, but that ultimate from the Raijin, the crowd control is very rarely used because you're giving up so much damage, but in that scenario, that's where you give up the damage.
And even after taking 2 deaths early on, Wubbn actually 2 levels ahead of JeffHindla. And now with that Genji's Guard online, only going to make him an even more difficult target to lock down. Having that cooldown reduction anytime he takes magical damage is going to be really important on his abilities, especially since he's the healer aspect of the team. But also just the fact that everybody on Luminosity has pretty much already started rushing that anti-heal.
Yeah, and they absolutely have to, because that's the thing. I mentioned it yesterday. When you play against a Hell, it's not like you keep an Ao Kuang down in the early game and you're kind of good. You keep a Hebo down in the you're kind of good. You got to step on Hell every step of the way. You keep her down in the early game and she's still going to beat you mid-game. Speaking
of trying to keep somebody down, Mark Maloney in a little bit of danger there, but doesn't seem as though Luminosity really want to pursue it.
Nope. Tanky Osiris, nope. What are you going to do? He's got his full passive up. What is it, 16% damage reduction? No thanks. I'll walk away.
I'm ready to see Noble start factoring into some more engages with Whalrus involved, because he's finished off his Hide of the Urchin as opposed to Aquarius, who opted for the Nemean Gladiator Shield build. So with the Hide, you want to get those stacks online as soon as possible. And especially when you have a Hell on your team, there's absolutely no reason to not want to group up and just go at it.
LG grouping up here, looking for the Portal Demon. Gonna walk away from it, looking instead for the fight. Here comes Wally. Gets hit a little bit, but narrowly avoids the silence field coming out from the Nox. Now just chasing Baskin down. Baskin gets a shot of the Hunter just to stay safe. There's a jump up and damage coming out from Skeeledon as well. BaRRaCCuDDa very low. He'll be safe and sound under the tower. Up goes Mask, looking for a big boy stun. 3 players stunned out. Mask escapes and takes Skeeledon with him, almost accidentally. Whalrus falls to the hand of Mask as well. Double kill for the jungler. Nice little sequence from Luminosity there, and I give it all credit to Mask identifying how grouped up Noble was.
That 4-man grouping is just so devastating when there is a Thor in the sky.
Can't do that.
That is the primary reason why, but they did it because of the Hell. That was a little bit of a bait against their own team, and it's so unfortunate for Noble that came and worked against them in the long return. But you have to consider they still weren't able to go for the Portal Demon even after that play.
Right, that's totally fair. But they even things up a little bit. Luminosity, I mean, we're talking about pennies here, but Luminosity even up the game. 700 gold in the lead was Noble, and with that kill, we see the tie-up. And they're looking for the Portal Demon, likely to get it here. And the Hand of the Gods confirms it. Now looking for the damage after the fact. Wubbn's on the wrong side of a wall here, folks. Aquarius gonna jump on him. Don't forget, he's got anti-heal in that kit. And Wubbn gets away just barely. Luminosity doesn't want to follow him into the trenches.
Can't blame Luminosity for that one either. Mask does have his ultimate back up and running, but better to not dive into the back line of the enemy team, especially after you've already secured the Portal Demon objective. They're going to have that teleport back to the mid lane. They can look to aggress at a different stage.
Yeah, a big part of that play, I think, is to Chulainn limiting the healing coming out of the Hell. Of course, you see Mask also building that anti-heal, a Pestilence on the Terra player JeffHindla as well, and another anti-heal item, this time on BaRRaCCuDDa, the Brawler's Beat Stick as well. So a lot of attention being paid to this Hell, trying to shut her down. There's Wubbn taking more poke, having to beads out of the silence. Actually, that was a cleanse. Beads have been on cooldown for another 20 seconds. That's impressive because Wubbn has to activate the cleanse before he's stunned. So he has to read that. That's hot.
And that's kind of what you expect to happen at the SPL level. You can tell that Wubbn's really been trying to step up his own game alongside of his team. Noble have been looking pretty strong in this game despite a couple of situations going against them from unfortunate counter engages from Luminosity, but this has really seemed like a different squad already.
I have to say I'm extremely impressed. I did not, so we just saw, what was the last match? I think 42-3 after both games. Now, I didn't expect it to be that wide open when it comes to Noble. This is an SPL team. They have some experience in the Pro League, but I did expect this to be slanted in Luminosity's favor. If you told me they'd be tied at 20 minutes, I would have a hard time believing that, but Noble showing us exactly why they're still here.
BaRRa has a ton of damage potential onto this Gold Fury, already drawing it down to half HP. Noble don't want to let this go for free, reasonably so, but Luminosity are going to force this fight, and whoever comes out on top after this one is most likely going to have a solid opportunity at looking for that Fire Giant.
The Thor pick, such a strong idea, knowing that everybody's going to have to group up for the Hell Heal. Wubbn gets stunned out, and he's going to be silenced, and he's going to be grabbed, and he's going to be killed by BaRRaCCuDDa. That starts the team fight that Lumi wants to end very quickly. Sheyka out on the backside. Wowy likely to fall next. There's 1 hit, 2 hit, and 3 hit. Aquarius with the kill secure. Coming out from the solo lane on a Mask, giving Mask his 3rd assist of the game. Gold Fury now all LGs. Noble wants nothing to do with this. And with the objective going down, Luminosity pushed their lead even further, now over 2,000 gold.
Skeeledon was looking for Baskin on the back line, but he couldn't find him. There's just too much movement potential off of that Terra ultimate. Plus, Baskin had his actives available when Skeeledon tried to commit to him. So even as a Serqet, Nox got away. And ultimately, when you lose one member of your own and your team is that split, Wowy just ends up being a secondary casualty.
Yeah, that was troublesome. So Wubbn goes up. Wubbn was he dies because of poor positioning, but the rationale behind that positioning was he wanted to hit the team with the Dark Stand second ability. It lowers protections. It basically sets your squad up to go make everybody squishy. So that he steps up to go ahead and start the team fight like that. You can't. That's the support mindset that you have to change when you start to play the mage support. If you're going to play these new oddball selections, like the Hells, the Aphrodites, we saw the Nox, the Chang'as that people are talking about. If you're going to go in this direction, you can't apply the same old song and dance that you used to with regular Guardians. And I think that's what got Wubbn and then his team into trouble.
Well, even after that Gold Fury secure, Luminosity still only trailing by a couple K gold, and really strong engage by Skeeledon. He's trying to go in all in onto... Oh man, that is just going to be Skeely falling.
Yeah,
I did not expect him to die that fast.
Double stun coming out from the jungler. Long range shot from Baskin. Stunned out, and Mascot's the last hit. BaRRaCCuDDa shoved away by Sheyka's ultimate. Nice use of the crowd control element there. And Wubbn in trouble one more time. JeffHindla zoning him out, knowing how important the hell is to the rest of the team fight. BaRRaCCuDDa's going to pick up a red buff, because why not?
It looked like it was just going to be a standard Oracle contest by Wowy, just stealing away one of them, keeping the vision off of anybody's favor. But Skeeledon just immediately looked for the commit there off of the Serqet, and I just can't justify that simply because he didn't have anybody really ready to back him up.
Serqet suffers from the same problem that Mercury suffers from late game, is that when you go into that move, right? Mercury has the dash here with Serqet. It's his ultimate. Jump forward from Whalrus, but it's going to be LG's objective, and Wally, tanky, finds a stun, looking to get away, jumped on by BaRRa, and hit by the last selection. And the taunts coming out from both Aquarius and Mask. LG mentioned that Aquarius was picked up not just because of his talent, but because of how well he fit in with the squad, specifically Mask. Watching the two right side of the map guys just taunt at the enemy after they take him down. I love it. I think Aquarius is fitting in well.
Sheyka trying to prevent some backs from happening in that solo lane side, but Jeff's already made it back to the base, fortunately enough for him.
So my point before about Skeeledon is when you go into that last breath ultimate, you're standing on top of the guy. You're sitting there still. BaRRaCCuDDa just had a quick trigger finger. Skeeledon jumps on, down come the Suns, and BaRRa's just shooting him in the face. Skeely dies before anything even starts happening. That's rough stuff for the pick of Serqet.
Well, his Blink is going to be coming back up off of cooldown, and Luminosity are ready to pull this Fire Giant. Difficult to contest for Noble. Mask going up into the air. They don't really want to commit to this FG. They just want to commit to the fight.
Wow, he's going to get landed on again. And the ultimate from Baskin, not going to find a home. Sheyka also uses it. Pokes Baskin down a little bit. That might be relevant.
That's actually a really strong poke, but it was the Raijin's ultimate that he just used to try and make that happen. Baskin can just back to base for free now, and with the rest of his team still hanging around the Fire Giant area, Noble don't have an opportunity to look for that objective. Exactly.
The mages are your big secure these days, so not going to find it. 25 minutes into this one, Luminosity leading 11 out of the 13 kills belong to them. 58,000 gold to compare to Noble's 54,000. This was a tight one up until about 5 minutes ago, where Luminosity was able to find themselves a Gold Fury and a couple of team fights, obviously, as the kills are in their favor. And LG will start the Fire Giant.
It just hasn't really felt like team fights from Noble, though. It's been one or two members getting picked offhand, and then afterwards, there's not enough potency for Noble to really follow up on anything. And again, Wubbn caught out, not able to get away. Well, he might not just yet. The rest of the team are trying to pursue him. Skeeledon looking to buy him some time with that ultimate. BaRRaCCuDDa doesn't matter.
Couldn't get out. Silenced away from his jump by Baskin. And of course, Wubbn barely getting away. Does have the heals. Whalrus going to help him out a little bit. But that means Luminosity now have control. We're going to see a back from LG, actually. Noble know all about it, but still, I don't think they want to start this.
Better safe than sorry seems to be the mentality here for Luminosity, and for good reason. Wubbn practically back to full health already. Skeeledon, though, sacrificing his life so that his support can live. Not every day you see the jungler drop themselves in order for their support to make it out, but since Wubbn is playing the Hell, it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I liked that play from Skeeledon. That's what you got to do. If Hell dies there's so many more implications if Hell dies than if the Serqet dies. So, Skeeledon giving his life up for the greater good. Unfortunately, 1 and 5. Not a strong look for your jungler. Fire Giant down to about 33%, now a quarter. Here comes Whalrus and Wubbn, knocked up by Aquarius. Nice zoning. Body blocks are strong as well, but the hammer confirms it. It's all about Luminosity. Looking for the follow-up. 3-man stun to the targets, but he's gonna wait. 2-man stun, not even. Matt's gonna miss it, but the double tap off of the Tectonic Rift looks good. Baskin cleans up Skeely.
Mass might have been off the mark, but the rest of Luminosity isn't, and they're getting up all of the kills that they need to, except for Whalrus, who finds BaRRaCCuDDa. That is a massive play from Whalrus. Even if he goes down, this will at least buy Noble a little bit of time to recoup.
Fire Giant means siege time, taking down the Hunter. Very important play. He's the one that's looking to siege. Sheyka in trouble here, likely to fall. Uses the Aegis, walks out of the trouble puddle, but can't escape the mask.
Hoping to just get off enough damage to potentially take out the jungler as well. Just not able to find it. A little bit too much burst. I like the play where he cleared out the wave, though, before going down. Recognizing he was probably dead and just...
Gotta get farm.
Gotta get that farm.
Gotta get farm. He doesn't slow down using the one either, so it's not like he traded anything for it, but you gotta get the farm.
It's always important to keep up as best you can, which he has done a pretty good job at so far. I mean, he's still same level as Baskin.
Sheyka's had a fantastic game.
And it's been on the Raijin, which is a god that hasn't been seen in a great way for a very long time, really finding his way back into the SPL. There's been a decent bit of damage output from him. It's mostly just been his team being a little bit too far behind after things starting to spiral out of control is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, a little bit, down 6,000 gold. Noble making a smart play here and going for the Portal Demon while the enemy goes for the Gold Fury. The consolation prize of the Conquest map, I'd say. Not quite Gold Fury, what is it, 100 gold and similar experience per player. So, not a huge boon, but it's something. And that's what Noble's got to look for right now.
It's something that'll prevent a little bit of mobility as well from Luminosity. They're going to have to swing now from the T1 side in the dual lane all the way over to that T1 tower.
Oh, Wubbn. Oh, Wubbn.
Oh,
Wubbn. Oh, Wubbn. Oh, Wubbn. This is, again, Wubbn soloing that purple buff by himself as a Hell while the enemy's pushing the tier 1 tower. Maybe something you get away with on a traditional Guardian. And on the Hell, you have to alter the play style. Again, it's not that Wubbn is just playing poorly flat out. The reason he's playing poorly is because he's taking the normal play style that he has and trying to put it on an oddball support pick. It's not working out.
And what else isn't working out is this left-hand Phoenix for Noble, as Luminosity is going to scoop that one away from them. Now getting ready to put pressure onto the T2 tower in the mid lane, and with Wubbn will be responding, so he'll be able to help out Noble in defending the next Phoenix siege potential. It's just going to be really difficult, though, for him to catch back up as far as just being more tanky is concerned. He expended a lot there. He expended both his beads and, I believe, his sprint as well, trying to get away.
You know, we were talking about who we would have eyes on for this game. We mentioned the Raijin, and of course the new player Aquarius. Well, Mask is 7-1-7 off to a tear, and Aquarius is doing just as much damage as him with the 107 /line. Aquarius, a huge impact in this game, whether it's bringing the damage or you saw the zone that he was doing, body blocking, got it with the ultimate out of the Chulainn zoning so the team could get on Fire Giant. Very big impact. And again, speaking to the LG guys after they acquired him, basically I spoke to BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla, and they said, yeah, I mean, he's a team fighter as opposed to some of the other styles of solo lane, which matches what LG want to do, but also he fits in our culture, and that's perhaps much more important than anything else.
Anytime you can develop synergy pretty easily is always a good look, but this is not a good look for Noble, as Luminosity, just that Terra ultimate immediately forces them to want to back off, satisfied with the T2 tower, and now looking to get away because the Fire Giant buff has worn off. Better to not overextend here.
Yeah, and the third point that Luminosity brought up was he plays well with Mask. And when Mask is going to do this, Yeah, you take anybody that's going to play well with him. And you saw what Aquarius and Mask were able to do. Aquarius pushes up, zones the team. Mask closes the door with the Tectonic Rift. They're just on the same page here already. This is the first game of the season, folks. Really exciting to see Luminosity. LG was the great, you know, the great North American team. I think there's still a lot of LG fans out there, and they haven't looked themselves, I think, for a long time. It's early to say, of course, but with that in mind, Aquarius looks like a nice fit for the squad.
I think Luminosity is going to start giving that top-tier end of NA a run for their money again. They've kind of fallen out of favor. There's a lot of talent there. There is a ton of talent on this squad, and a lot of the top teams in North America right now. That man's back? That man's back. Nobody would have seen it coming, but he's there. I
had no clue. Very surprised.
I think we all are.
That man playing for Space Station Gaming alongside Jigs, of course, and you know you saw what Trifecta could do in match number 1. Luminosity is certainly a part of that, and we'll see how they handle this one. Fire Giant goes down here, 16-3, and the team grouping up on the right side of the map now, looking for a nice little siege.
No real surprises that Noble didn't try to contest that one. More than likely, if they do venture into that Fire Giant pit, they're just going to end up dying. They pushed out the fire creeps on the left-hand side, which is a better look for them, considering that they won't have to worry about that during this current Phoenix siege. Still, going to be really tough trying to hold off for much longer. Skeeledon already taking under half health by Mask.
If Mask hits that stun and then a double tap, he's not dead, but he's very close to it. Jeff trying to start the fight under the right side. Phoenix, Noble forced to walk away just a little bit. BaRRaCCuDDa then, and those basics on the structure. And the Cupid ult handles Jeff for just a moment. Noble half defending here, but that Cupid ult is a big investment, and we didn't see the follow-up. There it finally is. Skeeledon goes in, finds a zigzag at the jump over the top from Whalrus to shove players out, but Aquarius does what he needs to do, and he zones the enemy out. This is a good chase for Noble, but they're just not fast enough.
I don't think that Noble want to chase this either,
I think this is a great chase.
I don't think that they can afford to chase it, though, because the second that they move into those narrow corridors, Nox drops a silence, and your entire team is dead.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you do then? Because that was the team where the team was half HP. That's the engagement you want as a defensive squad.
They wanted their left-hand Phoenix to respawn, which has successfully happened. It costs at the expense of their right-hand Phoenix, but their Titan hasn't taken any damage yet from fire creeps, and as long as Noble keeps steadily farming out passively underneath their Titan room area, they have a decent chance at actually coming back into this game. You can never really count out a Hell Squadron. All it takes is one team fight, one strong Raijin ultimate, Skeeledon to connect with that taunt or the kiss even onto any member from Luminosity. More than likely going to be BaRRaCCuDDa, potentially even Mask. Mask has built a lot of damage and only has a Spirit Robe for the defensive route, so he is still pretty susceptible to a burst composition.
Luminosity here on the left side, putting Noble's burst to the test. Mask gonna lead, missed a stun, and knock his team sort of out of way of fighting the basic attacks. Whalrus finds one, but there's from the right side, Skeeledon, gonna get silenced out and tapped, but the zigzag is good. Big Cupid ultimate gonna lock down BaRRaCCuDDa, but Skeeledon already chased out, can't deal the damage. Mask lands a stun, lands the ultimate as Baskin, a follow-up, and Wowy's put into the ground. BaRRaCCuDDa on the good side of that, number 6 for the Hunter out of Georgia. Wubbn's gonna fall down next if anybody can find him, but they can't. Aquarius goes for it, can't find it. Mask falls down and Skeeledon bites back, but it's ultimately Baskin taking one down. Whalrus, it's a back and forth, 2 for 2 so far. The left side Phoenix does wind up going down while he's going to be rooted out, but looks like Luminosity do not want to follow up on JeffHindla. The 2 for 2 exchange is strong.
That was almost entirely in Noble's favor up until that wall from Mask. And it wasn't even the wall from Mask that caught me. It was the root from Baskin, that last second root that managed to catch Wowy off right before he could get the heal from his own heart bomb. Just came up so heavily for Luminosity. It's just really little things like that where you have to hit your abilities if you want to win the game.
And that was, I mean, still that winds up in Noble's favor because that's a team fight Luminosity wins the game off of. That winds up in Noble's favor. They kill BaRRaCCuDDa. They take out Mask. Very important plays again by Whalrus.
Whalrus has kind of just been, I wouldn't say the silent sleeper in this game at all, because he's really just been making the spacing that needs to happen. He's been going onto BaRRaCCuDDa as much as possible, and that's what you need from your Osiris. Aquarius has been doing the same thing for Luminosity, where he's looking to push out Wubbn, Sheyka, Wowy, and of course, when you have these solo laners just individually spreading out these teams that rely so heavily around working together, it's just going to be so back and forth until one can finally find the better end.
Another big boon talking about this Raijin. He's able to do his damage from so far away. Number 2 on the damage charts overall, and he's got 5 assists, which basically prove that he's not playing, and it's very interesting, because if you know Sheyka, who's been around the scene for a long time, he's a very aggressive guy. Now, I was a little scared with him on this Raijin because the temptation to use that teleport offensively is really high. But he's sitting in the back line, letting Raijin and the ultimate do the hard work, and everybody's just, the second somebody gets stunned, they're blasted for their HP by the drums or the ultimate or the Raijin, and that's allowing him to stay, deal relevant damage, bring the kill threshold down for the team, and somebody else picks up that last hit. Most of the time, I mean, there's only 5 kills on the team. It's been Skeeledon or Whalrus. Fire Giant started by LG again here, and it looks like Noble's going to give this one up.
Third time's the charm for Luminosity, or at least that's what they're hoping for. Meanwhile, Noble just pushing out that right-hand lane. Their Phoenix has respawned, but hasn't reached that 75% health threshold yet, and Luminosity are going to put the pressure on to ensure that that Phoenix stays as low as possible so that they can secure it yet again. Having 2 lanes, especially 2 opposite side lanes, with fire creeps pouring in, would be a really strong look for the team.
Here comes the push out of the right side. Again, the Phoenix already relatively low and pretty susceptible to damage. Down it goes, but there comes the Suns out from BaRRaCCuDDa, and Matt's going to land all the way on the back line. Not going to find the stun, but now looking for the damage out of Zerkers. It's all about Sheyka pushing them out, but Baskin takes down Skeeledon, and that is so much damage out of that mid laner. It's just impossible to handle for Noble Esports.
That was absolutely insane. Couldn't even get the fountain to heal Skeeledon, completely taken out of the fight. Same might happen to Baskin, though, in response is Wowy manages to clean him up. BaRRaCCuDDa taking the life of Mark Maloney, but Sheyka doesn't leave it unanswered, picking up Mask.
Gets his first kill of the game using that offensive teleport that I was talking about. Wubbn dancing around, not able to heal up, but BaRRaCCuDDa goes down to the hand of Sheyka. Wowy gets taken out by the solo laner. Sheyka, the only one alive, looking at 2v1. He takes down JeffHindla. Now it's Aquarius versus the mid laner. The Aegis gets him just enough to the fountain, but Aqua dives it. Welcome to Luminosity Gaming. Aquarius, can he take down the Titan by himself?
He's going to end the game by himself. He can. He's got fire creeps pushing in from the left-hand side. He's got his own creep wave in the right-hand side. Aquarius just ended the game.
So, ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself the question. Is Aquarius going to work out on this squad? I don't know. There's one person on the battlefield, and he's taking down the Titan, and it's Aquaman.
And Skeeledon trying to do what he can to defend, but there's just way too many creeps. I don't think he's going to be able to prevent this one from going down, and instead he ends up falling, trading out the 1-for-1, but not Winions. Not Winions. This is really
just barely. Just barely. I really thought Aquarius was going to be able to handle that one. Skeeledon giving his life for the team. Noble absolutely loving their jungler at the moment. 40 minutes in. The one-man wrecking crew of Aquarius tries to end it. Skeely stops him instead. And now 4 players of LG have to try again.
Skeeledon versus the world.
What a sequence.
In that instance. The poison spread too. That was the thing, is I believe that the poison actually spread to the creeps off of that from Aquarius, but that is just, it just blows my mind how the Titan is actually still alive right now.
I mean, how much HP does the Titan have? We have the we usually have the little HP bar. Not gonna be able to see it this time around, unfortunately, but just barely alive, man. It's gotta be. I mean, it definitely is one hit away, right?
Noble have to be on the lookout for Jeff ulting and Baskin climbing inside of Mask, and those two ulting into the Titan room to end. I think that that might be the next sequence of events here for Luminosity. They don't really need a fire giant with the Titan being that low. Noble doing everything that they can to push out these waves.
It's got 4.5 HP.
They're trying so hard right now. As long as those creep waves are pushed out, they have a decent opportunity to try and CC lock down whoever decides to make their way into the Titan room, but Hui ultimate, Nox, Thor ultimate. This is gonna be a really.
Here's what I think: you spread out, you pop sprint, you pop Terra ult. Everybody Aegises. You just run in. He who makes it makes it.
But what if they all end up dying and nobody kills the Titan, and then the Phoenixes respawn?
Then they lose. But it's you do it play for the Jiffy Cat. That's why I'm in the booth and not on the battlefield. But different story for LG. Trying to win their first game of the season. There's the Terra ultimate. Mask going up. Baskin along for the ride. They're going to make it all the way to the throne room. Explosion. Double tap. We'll see you later. Luminosity Gaming with the win. What a wonderful sequence of events. Almost by himself. Aquarius wins the game, but Skeeledon says no and makes Luminosity do it as a unit.
That was a very valiant attempt by Skeeledon to try and cling onto the life of game number 1 for Noble. It's just, when your Titan is that low HP and you're against the Thor, Nox, you just know what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, it's predictable, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And Noble, like I said, I think the bigger takeaway here is Noble was impressive. I think there were some obvious mishaps and some obvious things that kept them from taking this game away, Taco. But honestly, I mean, this is a much better team than we saw last split.
That might also be the largest instance of Caster's Curse I have ever witnessed or experienced here. So
you ain't blaming me.
Very long.
You ain't blaming me.
I don't know who to blame there. I have really bad life RNG, so it could just be all me.
Right now, I'm getting tweeted by all 5 members of LG. What are you doing? That's how they type, just like that.
What you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? But one.